Guests who made it to the lobby were warned not to look up when they were led out of a side entrance onto the street.
You hear thud, 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 the sound, and you just thought it was just the buildings, which, parts of the buildings falling. But, it was not. When we looked out, cars was on fire, and people were jumping down. And, you see a glimpse of it, but you try not to look at it.
As people fled from the area, Faye remained with her daughter Lee in her fifth-floor room. They were trying not to panic.
I said to Lee, I think I should run upstairs and get my jewelry. And she said, Mum, don't worry about it. The firefighters will secure the building, and they will block everything up. Nobody's going to be able to do anything, but you're fine. Your jewelry's going to be fine.
The reason I said that really was because I was scared to death. And I didn't want my mom to go away from me, to go back to the other floor. I thought, we're together now, let's not risk separation.
Down in the Marriott lobby with the badly burned Jenny Ann, Ron realized they would have to leave the safety of the hotel to get medical help.
I knew that we had to get out of the building, so I asked Jenny Ann if she could stand up. I shouted to get somebody to help us, and somebody threw me a tablecloth that I wrapped around her. And then we headed towards the lobby door.
A photographer captured the moment as Ron, in the yellow tie, helped Jenny Ann across the street, trying to avoid the falling debris.
I said to Jenny Ann, can you run? And she said, I'll try. And so the group of us just huddled together and ran across the street to the highway.
They made it to an ambulance. Meanwhile, help finally arrived for Lee and her mother, still on the fifth floor.
2 maintenance men suddenly appeared, and they were horrified that we were there. What the hell are you still doing here? And I said, well, I really can't go down the stairs in a wheelchair. So they took us to a freight elevator that was still working, which delivered us to the lobby floor.
Once outside, Lee and her mother were determined to stay together.
They're about to put Lee, my daughter, into the ambulance. Remove her from her wheelchair/scooter. And I said, what are you doing? Where are you taking her?
The ambulance drivers assumed I was injured and were about to put me in an ambulance and take me to whatever hospital. And in that process, I was saying, I'm not hurt. I'm fine. I just have MS.
So Lee and her mother joined the crowds escaping from the area, with Lee in her motorized wheelchair just slightly ahead. Meanwhile, fireman Jeff Johnson and his crew climbed to the top floor gym of the Marriott, 22 floors up, to begin the search for people.
We felt relatively safe because where we were, we didn't see any visible fire at that point. Tower 1 and Tower 2 was the problem, which was out there. We were kind of like in an adjacent building, and no one in their wildest dreams ever thought that the buildings were going to collapse.
With both towers burning out of control and nearly all the guests evacuated from the Marriott, Frank reluctantly decided to gather his belongings and leave his room.
I said to myself, I gotta pack all this stuff up and get it out of here. I'll probably have to find another hotel room tonight. And that's what I did. I began packing the stuff up in boxes and litigation bags. And when I had gotten all of the stuff packed, I stood there thinking to myself, I wonder if I can get a bellman to come up and get me.
At this exact moment, all hell broke loose. Just under an hour after it was hit, the South Tower of the World Trade Center collapsed, plummeting into the streets and onto the Marriott